The nutritional hierarchy of poultry cuts has occupied a persistent position in dietary conventional wisdom for decades, with white meat consistently positioned as the superior health choice and dark meat relegated to occasional indulgence status. This framework rests primarily on caloric and fat content differentials. Chicken breast contains fewer calories and less fat per serving than thighs or drumsticks, and lower fat intake has been promoted as a health priority for weight management and cardiovascular disease prevention. But nutritional value cannot be reduced to a simple tally of calories and fat grams. The complete picture requires examining the full spectrum of nutrients each type of meat provides, how preparation methods influence nutritional outcomes, and whether the differences between white and dark meat are meaningful enough to warrant the rigid preference hierarchies that have developed around them. Understanding what actually distinguishes white meat from dark meat, both compositionally and nutritionally, makes it possible to make informed choices based on individual dietary priorities rather than adhering to oversimplified rules that may not align with actual health goals. The compositional difference, the fundamental distinction between white and dark meat, traces to muscle fiber type and function. White meat comes from breast and wing muscles that specialize in quick, explosive movements. These muscles rely primarily on anaerobic metabolism, burning glycogen without requiring continuous oxygen delivery. Because they are used for brief bursts rather than sustained activity, they contain fewer mitochondria and less myoglobin. Dark meat comes from leg and thigh muscles that support prolonged activity. These muscles depend on aerobic metabolism, requiring constant oxygen delivery. The darker color reflects higher concentrations of myoglobin, an oxygen-binding protein. This increased myoglobin content also brings higher concentrations of iron and other minerals. A 3-ounce serving of chicken breast contains approximately 140 calories and 3 grams of fat. The same portion of chicken thigh contains roughly 170 calories and 9 grams of fat. This 30-calorie and 6-gram fat differential represents the basis for the belief that white meat is categorically healthier. The micronutrient profile. Dark meat provides substantially higher concentrations of several essential nutrients compared to white meat. Iron content in dark meat exceeds white meat by a meaningful margin, with thigh meat delivering nearly twice the iron per serving as breast meat. This matters particularly for populations at risk of iron deficiency, including menstruating women, pregnant individuals, and people following plant-heavy diets where non-heme iron absorption is less efficient. Zinc concentrations follow a similar pattern, with dark meat providing significantly more zinc per serving than white meat. Zinc plays critical roles in immune function, wound healing, protein synthesis, and DNA production. Adequate zinc intake supports immune response, and deficiency produces measurable impairments in immune cell function. B vitamin content also favors dark meat. Thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, and vitamin B12 all appear in higher concentrations in thigh and leg meat compared to breast meat. These vitamins function as cofactors in energy metabolism, supporting the conversion of food into usable cellular energy. B12 specifically is essential for nerve function and red blood cell formation, and its bioavailability from animal sources makes poultry an important dietary source for people who do not consume red meat regularly. The selenium content is comparable between white and dark meat, with both providing meaningful amounts of this trace mineral that functions as an antioxidant and supports thyroid hormone metabolism. The caloric context. The caloric difference between white and dark meat becomes relevant primarily when total caloric intake requires careful management. For someone maintaining a caloric deficit for weight loss, choosing breast meat over thigh meat produces cumulative caloric savings. But the magnitude matters. The 30-calorie differential per serving represents roughly 2% of a 2,000-calorie daily intake. For people not actively managing caloric restriction, the difference between 140 and 170 calories per serving rarely produces meaningful health outcomes. The additional nutrients in dark meat potentially offer more value than the modest caloric savings, particularly for people whose diets may be marginal in iron, zinc, or B vitamins. The fat content differential requires similar contextualization. Current nutritional science recognizes that total fat intake matters less for cardiovascular health than previously believed. The modest increase in saturated fat from choosing dark meat does not meaningfully increase cardiovascular risk when consumed as part of a balanced diet. Preparation methods override meat selection. The method used to cook chicken produces far more significant nutritional variation than the choice between white and dark meat. Chicken skin adds 50 to 80 calories per serving and substantially increases total fat content. A skin-on chicken breast contains more fat and calories than a skinless chicken thigh. Frying introduces even larger nutritional changes. Breading and oil absorption during frying can double or triple the caloric content regardless of the cut. A fried chicken breast with skin contains significantly more calories and fat than a grilled chicken thigh without skin. The preparation method overwhelms the inherent differences between cuts. Roasting, grilling, or poaching chicken produces minimal added calories while preserving nutritional content. These methods allow the nutrient profiles to remain largely intact. Portion size similarly exerts more influence than meat color. A 4-ounce serving of dark meat contains fewer calories than a 6-ounce serving of white meat. People who prefer dark meat and consume reasonable portions receive better nutritional value than those who choose white meat but compensate with larger servings or rich sauces. The practical eating decision. The choice between white and dark meat need not function as a rigid dietary rule. Personal preference, cooking application, and overall dietary context all inform sensible selection. Dark meat remains moister during cooking, making it preferable for preparations involving longer cooking times. The richer flavor may reduce the need for added fats or sauces that white meat sometimes requires. For someone managing strict caloric intake for weight loss, choosing white meat provides an easy way to reduce calories. But the difference is modest enough that someone who strongly prefers dark meat should not feel compelled to eat breast meat they find less satisfying. Satisfaction with food choices supports dietary adherence better than forcing consumption of foods selected purely for marginal nutritional advantages. The micronutrient advantages of dark meat make it particularly valuable for people whose diets may be insufficient in iron, zinc, or B vitamins. For these individuals, the additional nutrients may provide more health value than the caloric savings from white meat. The widespread belief that white meat is categorically superior oversimplifies nutritional decision-making. While white meat contains fewer calories and less fat, dark meat provides substantially higher levels of several essential nutrients. Preparation methods and portion control influence nutritional outcomes more than the inherent differences between cuts.